Verstappen joins Hamilton in battle. It is Hamilton and Verstappen wheel to wheel. Hamilton is forced wide and he's lost a little bit of bodywork as well. Hamilton moves to the middle of the track, forces Verstappen wider at turn 1 and positions that Mercedes beautifully. But is that only temporary from Lewis Hamilton? Can he now hold Max Verstappen? Hamilton's going to try again, this time on the inside, a continent touch! That's a big crash!
From a dramatic collision at Silverstone that ended with a hospital visit to a young champion teasing a 7-time world champion to get fast if he wants to compete with him, this is the inside story of Formula One's most ruthless rivalry. First, let's go back to 2021, a year that flipped the F1 world upside down. From 2014 to 2021, Lewis Hamilton was ruling the track and lost only one championship in 2016 to his teammate Nico Rosberg. Other than this, every year had the same story, and many fans almost lost interest in F1. Hamilton's blend of raw speed, tactical brilliance, and an almost telepathic connection with his car made him an F1 maestro. The Mercedes team, with their top-notch engineering and strategic prowess, was the perfect symphony to Hamilton's lead. Together, they were an unbreakable force, so much so that the idea of them being challenged seemed more fantasy than possibility. Then enters Max Verstappen. Young, ambitious, and hungry for success.
At 18 years and 227 days old, Max Verstappen wins a Formula One Grand Prix.
Max and his team had been grinding for years, but always fell short of greatness. They had the talent, the passion, but their car, despite being good, was always a step behind the might of Mercedes. This gap was what kept them from turning their racing dreams into reality. That is, until 2021 rolled around and Red Bull stepped up their game. Suddenly, Mercedes had a rival that could match their pace, challenge their strategy, and dare to stare them down on the track. The season kicked off with Lewis claiming the victory in Bahrain, setting the tone for what was to come, but Max wasn't far behind, snatching up the win in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. This back and forth became the season's pulse. Hamilton bagged Portugal and Spain, but Verstappen, ever the relentless challenger, seized Monaco.
Max Verstappen leads the World Championship and wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
In total, there were 22 heart-pounding races, and only 4 didn't see either of these titans at the top. But here comes the twist. The rivalry between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen wasn't just about who crossed the finishing line first. It got personal, and it got dirty. Take Silverstone, for example. In a high-stakes maneuver, Hamilton tried to overtake Verstappen, but it led to a collision that sent Max spiraling into the barriers. As a result, Max was out of the race, and the drama was only just the beginning.
How's his head going in there, man?
Yeah, copy Lewis.
Fully alongside us, my line.
That nearly fucking killed our driver. I want him fucking out this race.
Red Bull was fuming, pointing fingers at Hamilton. The FIA slapped Hamilton with a 10-second penalty, but let's be real, for a driver of Hamilton's caliber, it was a mere inconvenience. He still clinched the win, adding fuel to the fiery rivalry. Verstappen expressed his disappointment from the hospital, saying, "Obviously very disappointed we're being taken out like this. The penalty given does not help us in any way and doesn't do justice to the dangerous move Lewis made on track. Watching the celebrations after the race while still in hospital is disrespectful and unsportsmanlike behaviour." But if you thought Hamilton was the only one playing rough, think again. Fast forward to Monza and the script flipped. This time it was Verstappen making the bold move. Trying to overtake Hamilton, he misjudged and bam! His car ended up atop Hamilton's Mercedes. It was a heart-in-mouth moment, but thankfully both drivers walked away unscathed. However, Verstappen didn't walk away penalty-free. After the Monza incident, Hamilton remarked, "He just didn't want to give way today. He knew he was going over the curb, but still did it." Verstappen countered, "I didn't expect him to just keep on squeezing. He just kept pushing me wider and wider, and at one point, there was nowhere to go." After these intense clashes on the track, the air was thick with rivalry, and every statement made by either driver was like adding fuel to a blazing fire. And if that was not enough, another crash happened at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. In a move that left everyone shocked, Verstappen aggressively ran Hamilton off the track.
Hamilton avoids the collision.
Max doesn't like to yield, does he?
Verstappen keeps the lead of the race.
Max wanted to win the race at any cost. On the other hand, Lewis couldn't hold back, telling his team, "That guy is crazy man," on the radio.
That is pretty crazy. Yeah, copy that, Lewis. We're on it.
Then came a twist. Red Bull told Verstappen to let Hamilton pass to dodge a penalty.
Let's give the position back to Hamilton. Do that strategically.
But communication was amiss. Hamilton, clueless about this plan, was taken aback when Verstappen suddenly slowed down in a split second of confusion.
Oh, they touched and they collided! Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, how much damage?
Hamilton's Mercedes ended up hitting the rear end of Red Bull and damaging his own car. Verstappen was puzzled why Hamilton didn't overtake, and Hamilton was left wondering why Max hit the brakes so hard. The incident quickly turned into a he said situation, with both drivers defending their actions. After a thorough investigation, the stewards decided Verstappen was at fault. He received a 10-second penalty and 2 points on his license. Then, with just one race remaining, everything became super intense. Two of the best drivers in the world were now both tied at 369.5 points. Hamilton was on the brink of an 8th World Championship, ready to surpass Schumacher's record. Verstappen, on the other hand, had his eyes set on his first ever championship title. Verstappen snagged pole position. Hamilton was hot on his heels in P2, and Norris claimed P3. The scene was set for a showdown, and it looked like Max had the upper hand.
It's lights out, away we go, and Hamilton gets a decent start, and he's already ahead of Max
But
Verstappen.
hold your horses. As the race started, Lewis put the pedal to the metal, soaring past Verstappen to snatch P1. A lot went down during the race, but let's jump to the part where everything flipped on its head. Nicholas Latifi's crash at turn 14 brought out the safety car, and this was a game changer. Hamilton's solid 13-second lead over Verstappen was now under threat. Despite the safety car, Lewis seemed to be in a safe spot, with 5 lapped cars between him and Max. The catch? Verstappen was on fresh, soft tyres, while Hamilton was on older, hard ones. Still, the gap looked too big for Max to close. But then, in a twist that no one saw coming, the lapped cars were suddenly given the green light to unlap themselves, reversing an earlier decision. This move dramatically closed the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. Now, with fresher, faster tyres, Verstappen was in a prime position. In the final laps, Verstappen made his move.
Hamilton sees it coming. It's a late lunge by Verstappen, who takes the lead of the race.
He swept past Hamilton, and the world watched in awe. But Lewis wasn't giving up. He couldn't use his DRS for 2 laps, yet he fought back fiercely. The two drivers engaged in a heart-stopping duel, almost touching as they raced to turn 9. Verstappen held his ground.
Mercedes not happy. Red Bull will be delighted. They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion